Thank you, Toastmaster Venkatesh. Now, Nestle come to Indian market at around 1983, the time when India won the World Cup. And if you recall, or maybe if you think now, that in 1983, instant noodle was something that is alien to Indian market. We were of not practice eating instant noodle kind of stuff. We were using roti, sabji, chapati, or some rice, curd, all those things. So this product being so alien in nature, what the strategy that Nestle took so that it became a product of every household kitchen. We go more deeper into understanding what was the strategy that Nestle used at that point of time to become the market leader and gain the market share. But I left you with the thought process that what was the strategy that Maggie used, rather a Nestle used, to become the product of every household kitchen, being a instant noodle very the thing that was first time introduced to the Indian market. So the strategy number one that Nestle adopted, you must have all heard that if something is done by everybody, it simply means it is going to be done by nobody. It means if you are going to sell your product to everybody, it means you will end up selling your product to nobody. You have to have find your niche. You must make sure that you are identifying your target audience, your target fan base to whom you are going to cater your product. And so did Nestle. Their marketing team put the intensive research to identify who will be going to their real audience. Instant noodle is a product that can be consumed by everybody, being it a child going kid, or it can be a 40 or 50-year-old office going man or woman. But they do not target to bring it to the plates of every household. Rather, they try to understand the pain and the ease of accessibility of the audience. So they cater its customer and consumer both. How they choose mother and the children. So these two were their target customer and consumer. We'll under quick fact check. If we all are listening properly, can anybody tell me that what was the first marketing strategy that Nestle adopted to become a market leader and to enter into the Indian household? Anyone?
Noodles, instant noodles.
So strategy. What was the strategy that they use? First strategy.
Mother and child.
This is what
I mean the symbolism to reach out. Yeah, every household. Yeah.
Yeah. So the strategy that they adopted was not to sell everybody, but they have to always find your niche. Because if you are selling it to everybody, it means you are selling it to nobody. If any work is done by everybody, it means it is going to be done by nobody. We have to find our niche. We have to give a responsibility to a particular person. Similarly, Maggie didn't go into the market and chose that they are going to sell their product to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. They chose their target audience, and that was mother and the child. So first strategy, finding your niche. I hope I'm clear. Thank you, Mayuresh, for confirmation. Now we'll talk about the how the customer and the consumer that the Maggie chosen was mother and the child. Because if you go to talk about 1983 to even till now, it is always a challenge for a mother to give something tasty, delicious, and yet healthy to their children when they come back from school. Because in their school they have already eaten chapati bhaji. Now coming back to school, either mother is working or a housewife, they also wanted some time for themselves. So if they are going to cook something that is going to take a good amount of time and the children will not be finding tasty enough, the entire purpose will get defeated. From then, when the Maggie entered into the market, they make it a food that is going to take very less time and yet tasty. So from there, the tagline 2-minute mein Maggie was born at that point of time. Understood how the 2-minute mein Maggie tagline was born. Correct. So if we are going into a more detail, the Maggie penetration level was so much so that even from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, even tier 4 cities, Maggie has reached its has covered all the marketplaces wherever possible. And if you can recollect, in 2000 perhaps 6, there was a new product come into market from Nestle itself, that was Chotu Maggie, just to take their market share from 40% to the further up and to the 60 to 70% up. And just by bringing the price down, it was accessible to the lower segment of market as well. So these were the strategies that the Maggie was trying to exercise so that they can capture more and more. And just because of adopting some small few but reasonable steps, Maggie was able to capture more and more market share every another day. And it was get popularized so much so that whenever we talk about instant noodle, we never feel like calling some other name. It is always Maggie. So Maggie is the name of the product. It is a one type of instant noodle, that is Maggie. Maybe we can have Yippee also, that is also instant noodle. But because of its popularization and reaching to the masses, it became the household name for the noodles, for the replacement of instant noodle. We'll try to understand more about strategies that was adopted by Maggie, but now we'll have a timer report. So Mayuresh, if you can tell us if all the speakers are qualified for voting. So as we understood that after launching Chotu Maggie in year 2006 approximately, and the marketing communication was established in a local vernacular languages, so that everyone can make a connect to the product and they must increase, they must go and buy for it. But in year 2015, what happened? Can anybody? In 2015 with Nestle, Maggie got banned. Very true. In year 2015, Maggie got banned. The reason for banning the Maggie was some of the product like MSG, that is monosodium glutamate, and lead was found more than the standards of what it should be. And from there, the market share that shoot up to 75% take a nose deep dive and it went to zero. Now, from that zero, how again Maggie stood up in just 5 months? What were the strategies that they took into? We'll try to understand more about this. Now, I'll understand from Toastmaster Mayur if we can break for now.
Yes, we can have break for 3 minutes.
Right, so we'll break for a 3 minutes, then we'll come back for the our Toastmaster table topic session, and we'll understand more about how Maggie again come back. So I left you when in 2015 Maggie was banned because of not meeting the standards, and right after 5 months Maggie bounced back. In a flash sale in collaboration with Snapdeal, Maggie launched a tagline, Dil Ki. The tagline was Dil Ki Deal with Maggie. With Dil Ki Deal with Maggie, in a flash sale of 5 minutes, of 60,000 packets of Maggie was sold. And how that all has happened? Maggie launched another marketing campaign when they launched We Miss You Too. We Miss You Too was a tagline that they asked their fan base to share their memory with Maggie, how they feel about it, what was their nostalgic moment when they was consuming Maggie, what was that moment. And if you think over it, Maggie is just an instant noodle. It is not such a very big thing that we are keeping our memories associated with the instant noodle thing. But just because of a great marketing pitch, just because of the great positioning of the product, they were able to get enormous responses on Twitter and the other social media handles. And Snapdeal was able, and the Maggie was able to make a sale of 60,000 in just a 5-minute thing. So if we see in total, in 2017, again, the Maggie market share that went down to 0%, again shoot up to 75% now. Just because of what? The strategies that Maggie has adopted. Strategy number 1, that rather than thinking that how we are going to penetrate the market, they were more focused to whom we are going to cater our services, what will be our target audience. And if we have a product so generic in nature, we make sure that we have to find our niche for taking us to the wonderful product wherein we can use our marketing strategies to make sure that the product is sellable to the audience. So now, just let me take you to the summarization of today's themes. In 1983, Maggie came into the market, in Indian market. Then from there it chooses the right marketing strategy. It identified its right customer so that it can be catered to them in a beautiful fashion. From there, it started climbing on the ladder of success till by adopting various strategies like good supply chain and making sure that they are also penetrating the market in a perfect fashion by bringing the cost and the weight down of the Maggies. They launched Chotu Maggie also, and then after they started and they moving ahead and ahead till 2015 when there was a backlash for Maggie because of some substance that was more in abundance as per the regulatory norms, and from there it fall down, and again in just 5 months time Maggie came up and regained its original market share. So this was the total discussion that we had a short while earlier. So the lessons that we have understood from Maggie's strategy, that rather than thinking how to create a market penetration, they focused on which should be their market, what should be their target audience. And when your product is so generic in nature, it is just a food item, you always make sure that you are catering to the right audience. And the golden strategy for any kind of product which is so generic in nature, that we should always identify the pain areas of our customer and interest areas of our consumer. In the case of Maggie, the pain area for mothers was how they are going to prepare a food what can bring a taste and health at the same time, and it should not take much of a time also, because if they are a working woman, they are coming from office and they are also tired. And if it is a household woman, in that case from day long working, they also wanted some time rest for themselves, and again when their children are come back, they have to go back to kitchen and prepare the food. So the pain area was time that the mother was facing, and the interest of consumer was children who can eat the tasty thing, and the dish was not so monotonous because it was new. So identifying the right pain and the right interest of the consumer. So these two things that they have done. And one of the most key thing that I personally feel is that sometimes you also have observed that good brands are selling their product, but great brands sell the emotions. And Maggie exactly did the same thing. When their market share was declining down, they make sure that they are selling the emotion. They launched a campaign like Dil Ki Dil Wali Maggie, we miss you too. They wanted to understand from you all, the customer base, that how was your feeling when you got to know that Maggie is going to out from the market. So the emotional connect was there, and that was so established that they are able to gain their market share back and connect with the customer in a more greater sense as compared to earlier when they come back in 2015 after 5 months of backlash. Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, please go ahead.
So thank you, Toastmaster Venkatesh, for your insightful and meticulous evaluation of today's meeting, how we were for today's meeting. Now, just to summarize about the strategy that various, rather Nestle brand has used, the meaning of strategy, we come on the conclusion is that we should always work on the emotion, because product will come and go, but emotion that is being created by the brand, that will always remain in our mind. And it is one of the great sayings also, that people may forget what you have said it to them, but they will always remember that how you have made them feel about you. So the memory will always be there in our mind when it is backed by some emotion, some emotional and emotional connect. This is what brand do, and if we need to get a good competitive advantage in our product, we always make sure that we are establishing a emotional connect. and just give me an opportunity so that I can also correct on the part of not taking the strategy to a social life, only being specific to a product. So what we understood from the very start of the meeting is strategy, but is nothing but a competitive advantage. Whatever actions we do in our daily life, if we are thinking with this mindset that what extra, what additional that I can do in my service or in my product, in my behavioral approach, that can give me some advantage, that is a little ahead, that can create a distinction what others are doing, that is also a strategy. And by adopting some small incremental changes towards the reaching the goal of being better every other day, definitely we will be more strategic in our approach, and we will be approaching towards the path of excellence.